Hi, გამარჯობათ. Welcome to our second season of the Liberland in Georgia podcast. I would love to dedicate this season to the business perspective of Georgia, of the country. Why? Because there's a lot of going on right now in Georgia, and I would love you not to miss out anything. So, my name is Samuela Davidova. I'm the Liberland representative to the country, and we are shooting at the place of Franklin Club. If you don't know Franklin Club, they're a liberal think tank focused on the education in the perspective of politics and economics. Today, I invited my guest, Mikheil.
Didebulidze.
Thank you so much. If you're from the Western countries, Georgians have very complicated last names. I will give enough space to Michael to explain what he's currently doing himself because he's involved in so many projects. But first, I want to share why I invited him. So Michael, to me, is one of the core persons, especially if you're interested in the Web3 industry. He's involved in multiple startups, and he brings Georgia to the international level through his involvement in different projects, and also through organizing the GameFi conference, which is the biggest Web3 conference and community in Caucasus. Thank you so much for coming, Michael.
Thank you, Sam. It's a pleasure being here. Thank you for inviting me. So briefly, I can tell my story. Let's say from the time that I came back to Georgia because I was living abroad, where I started to dig into the startup environment. I was trying to bring together some talented, interested people to build different type of startups. So we started with the energy-related startup from the renewable energy company that was concentrated on the energy efficiency, on the solar energy. Then we moved to the Bitcoin mining that was related to the energy field. And there we have also scouted like talented team of the developers because we were using our tools for to manage the facility. Then, there were ups and downs for the mining business, but we kept the team and we moved on. We have developed internally the exchange for the cryptocurrency, applied for the Estonian license, and we're doing this business for 2 years. Then we have built on this team and we have hired more people and we moved to the game development field, developed more than 20 games, worked with the big publishers, and we have accompanied also the recent hype around the NFTs. So we did some projects also on NFT gaming. And at the same time, I was involved, and I am still involved in the traditional late-stage startup fund called VNTR. We did some investments in Georgia. We are doing not many investments, but we are trying to find the, let's say, well-established startups in the region. And last year, because of some geopolitical situation, there are like many people moving to Georgia from the different countries, and we started building the community in the Web3. So we were covering all the main aspects of the Web3 on the monthly meetups. Then we did the BNB chain hackathon, that is one of the top chains, inviting more than 20 teams competing for the prizes. And we saw that there is a really big growing community. So we came up with this idea to organize the first international Web3 conference that I think went really well for the first as a first experience. So it was there were more than 1,200 offline visitors. Interesting topics we have covered, like from startups to educational rooms and activities. So we wanted to cover more or less all the interesting topics there. At the same time, we have combined our experience from game development and blockchain development and came up with the idea to we have founded this Arena Games. Maybe you are familiar with this platform. So we are bridging traditional gaming to the Web3, developing all the tools necessary for the Web2 game to transform into the Web3. So these are the token swap, NFT marketplace, NFT tracking, and other things that are related to the gamify field. And this platform is, we have finished the first part of the MVP and will be live in March. So more or less I have covered all the things related to the recent, let's say, last 4 or 5 years developments.
Wow, that's a huge list.
Yeah, this is, I hope I didn't forget something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and my main, I think, idea is here in Georgia, to scout interesting teams, startups. Also, we have founded a small organization called the Founders Club recently in December. So this is more for the founders and people willing to develop their startups, and we will be organizing the masterminds. We will be inviting some people that will share objective, let's say, risks and objective information about the Web3 itself, how projects can benefit from that. And we're talking about some, promising and big projects, well-established projects like Polygon, like Solana. And we will be discussing more the ecosystem, more how these projects can help let's say, the new founders. And also we will be inviting the people from the different fields, like, financial managers or lawyers and other, to help founders to scale and to put all this information that they need to have in place. And after these startups will, complete all the preliminary works, then we will be helping them to raise the funds and to scale, to open the doors to the thousands of the companies that are circulating around in the space.
This is amazing, and I believe that you're still one of the first ones. I mean, considering from what I had the chance to observe in Georgia, so the startup scene is still ongoing. But I think that the last year, also, firstly, the immigration, second, of course, reopening the borders and the tourism. Again, there are more and more people curious about the country, so they're coming here from all around the world. I'm really happy about. So how do you see, or you're part of this startup still boom kind of in the country? I guess you're positive around that, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is developing steadily. And for instance, I have mentioned before we start the podcast about the good news because some funds from the Eastern Europe or US, they started investing in the Web3 startups as well. Also, the Georgian state organization JITA, for instance, they are doing also some stuff related to traditional startups. So this is boosting the environment. And on that, of course, these are the first, let's say, steps. Because this is not enough for the startup to grow and to become the billion-dollar company or unicorn, but these are the good messages and good instruments to use and to build on. So if we will see this, let's say, the growth of interest from the European funds or American funds, for sure the Georgia can become the regional hub for the startups, because of many, let's say, as you mentioned, because people love the country, because also for the tax-wise and other stuff, we have quite a good state of arts, let's say. So on that we can build many things, but some things like masterminds and this thing. That's why I came up with this idea, because it's one thing is that to get the funding, second is that to use these funds in a right way, because this money will finish soon, and you have to come up with the product and stuff like that. So masterminds will be helping more, to find also the co-founders, to get the advices for free from the, let's say, from the successful people. So yeah, I mean, I think that the ecosystem is growing, it's good. And now on this ecosystem, we can start building some interesting stuff.
Maybe I would also consider one part of this. It's like when you mentioned that you came back to the country and you already had a team of like cool people who were capable of building the new projects, especially pretty complex ones. So this is something I was a bit maybe skeptical at first, because like taking the education here, I thought that there's still this lacking kind of perspective of this, like Western efficiency, I would say. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that there are still that many people who have this, but at the same time, there are many people who are coming to study to the West and then coming back. So I think that this might be beneficial. And also, are there some new educational communities out here?
Yeah, this is really something that we should, let's say, to concentrate not only from the private sector perspective, but also from the state perspective, to invest in the educational, let's say, the hubs and organizations. So there are some interesting, maybe for sure you know them, that are offering the coding programs, offering different type of specialization programs. So when I came back, it was really hard to find good developers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now it is like, the number of the developers are growing because they see the prospects, they see the opportunities. And the good ones, they work both on Georgian market and also on TopTal or in the foreign projects. So, but the good developers are always wanted.
Sure.
Yeah, that's why we try. I mean, we are not directly participating in the educational programs, but we support. For instance, there are like our partners. I think the names will not give us anything important, but there are like some organizations that are concentrated on the educational programs, and we support them with the marketing activities, or if they need something like from us to support, and then we're inviting these people to work on our projects as well. So this we have also some things to. We will have the educational camps, let's say, more, but this will be like short-term programs. And the good message is that, let's say, the demand is growing on the specialized workforce, and I think it will be like, it will be followed.
Yeah. I think it goes like hand in hand, because exactly the industry needs these people, but I think that, from what I observe, I think that it will be more likely the initiative from the private companies. They need these specialists, so they're already just creating some educational camps also for like people to get into IT and so on. That's so cool.
Yeah, that's for sure. Because and before, let's say anyway, even though you were a good specialist, it was hard to find a good job here now in Georgia. But now it changed a lot. So I think that this will be like we will be getting more specialized and good quality workforce. I hope so. Yeah, but we have to work all together. I mean, all the people, all the companies and organizations to motivate this and to incentivize people to get into these professions that are now like on demand.
Yeah, I understand. Well, I think it's just a question of time to create the whole chain of this. How do you think, or what's your kind of perception on how, like, let's say European companies or funds are perceiving the Georgian startups or the Georgian scene? Like, do they know in Europe already that Georgia exists? Let's say.
Yeah, I think if you are a good fund, you should know even about Georgia or African countries or Asian countries. I mean, you should do the research if you are good. I mean, I see the growth of the interest. Before, I saw more advisors or like kind of organization that are doing the incubations more coming to the country. Now I see the direct investments from the fund. So this is a good message. So it means that the ecosystem is growing. We need also from the other hand here to supply the market with the interesting startups as well. That's why masterminds or some organizations are always helpful. Not only our organization, but there are many. Why? Because to prepare the startup to be ready to talk with these VCs, venture funds, or So yeah, I see the interest. I see also interest from the US-based startups investing in our Georgian companies, and mostly when they invest in Georgian companies, before it was like that. The scope was like, to help them to scale in the CIS countries, like always, like to test the product in Georgia, then to move it on Ukraine or Uzbekistan or Kazakhstan, and to cover this part of the world. So I mean, that's why. But now I think, especially with the Web3 industry, you don't have the borders.
Yeah.
So if the startup is good, like you have the massive and global adoption. So I think like some things will be changing.
Do you find that when you were also mentioning the, let's say, the public sector, so do you think like the government is like pro startup scene, or do you feel like they're a bit supportive, or are they aware of it?
Yeah, I think it's there is no country or like where you can be 100% happy of the government, but the program.
That's why we have Liberland.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That's why. But the program that I mentioned, like under the Ministry of Economy, is JITA.
Yeah.
JITA is one tool, like good one, that is giving, let's say, this that is promoting the entrepreneurship in general, and I think, yeah, I mean they're doing something. It's important not to interfere into the business with some regulations, with some other stuff. Others, we will, I mean, the guys here, there are many smart guys in the private sector, and they will figure out, I mean, together maybe with all, I will be happy also to participate, but we will somehow figure out how to build on this.
Yeah.
Important not to have like some regulations, some, let's say, there are uncertainty, these kind of things, and also these instruments that they have, this is also very good. So.
Yeah. And so do you find it like good base, like in Georgia, for someone to build a startup,
Yeah, compared to the other countries, I think it's one of the, especially in the region, one of the leading countries, because we have like, it's easy to set up the company, it takes 2 days to open the bank account.
1 day.
Yeah, 1 day, 2 days. So these are like really fast. You don't need to have a capital in order to start, building your own company. So I mean, I think the environment is good. Then you have mentioned there are sometimes problems maybe with working force or some other stuff, but this can be, because of a new big flow of the expats coming to Georgia. I think you can balance that. And so to build a startup, to start your business, I think Georgia is a good place.
Yeah, nice.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Is there something you would recommend? Because I was literally talking to like some founders who are starting to consider to move their headquarters to Georgia.
Today I had a meeting an hour ago, for instance, with UK-based guy, company. He's from UK. He's moving all his operation to Georgia. And I'm meeting, some guys that are coming and staying. It's important to them to, have what you are doing. It's important because you are spreading the voice about the Georgia. So we need to spread the voice, to let's say underline and give the clear messages. What are the advantages and why they should come and move their operation here. So yeah, I mean, I would recommend for sure.
Is there something they should be aware of?
In particular, it's depending on the industry. If we're talking, for instance, about the heavy industries, it's of course this is like something different because you need the well-prepared engineers, local and stuff like that, to build and move your operation from like bigger country. This needs a specific research. But if we're talking about the startups, innovation, about the Web3, I think we don't have any obstacles here to start these businesses in Georgia.
How do you find, despite like you're not the expert here, but just like integrating into the startup scene here? I know that I don't want to answer the question, but like many people in this industry just speak English, and so they're like open-minded and very progressive. But
yeah, this is a really good. Like many foreigners, they get surprised, especially with the new generation. Like most of people, they speak English. I mean, they are familiar with the modern tools. Like they have most of them, the basic knowledge of IT. Some are advanced. Yeah, I mean, these are the advantages for sure. Also, there are some other things. I mean, that are not related only to as I told you, important is tax things, opening the company, opening the bank account, having a let's say, to develop the project with the local stuff. I mean, it's not. I think it's cost effective compared to Western countries. For the rest, I mean, it always some people will have like their best experience. Some will have not so good. So depending, of course, on the individual experience. But I think there are all necessary tools here that to start building something.
Amazing. How do you, or what are your next or close future plans?
Yeah, we have, as I mentioned, we have had our first meetup for the Founders Club. We will be having it in February, and every month we will be meeting with the founders and let's say retail-based investors as well, having these meetups. Then we are launching the Arena Games platform in March. So this is not like just a platform; it's also ecosystem. We will have the service DAO as well there. So we will be inviting the people working in the gamify field, and helping them to find also the work in our gamify projects that we will have on the platform, and we will be also hiring them. These are the two plans, and the biggest, we will have the second, let's say, the International Web3 Conference again in October.
Okay.
So we start preparing all the stuff. We are already onboarding some companies because we want to have it like bigger one. So this is like something important, I think. And mostly the plans are like based on this year, like we will be pushing on the Web3 startups that we have in our portfolio.
Wow, so cool. Nice. All right. So what would you say to, let's say, if some Western investors are watching this, can they just, like travel to Georgia, join your founders club, the meetup, and just, like how to get to know the first information about Georgia, or where to search, like if they cannot wait for the October conference, so how to get to know the scene a bit?
Yeah, like me personally, I'm as you have also mentioned, we have this community development company, let's say the Web3 community development company called the Gamify. So we're covering all the info. We have the group on the Telegram. We have also groups on LinkedIn and other related social media. And we are we're very active, having this frequently having the meetups. So it would be nice if newcomers will be joining us. About Georgia, I would like also to underline that it is a safe country, so they can travel for
very
sure.
Safe.
Yeah, and they can explore the city or other cities. We're based in Tbilisi, and we will be happy to meet and to give also the objective information about the environment. Even if we don't meet physically, we can we can be helpful online as well.
This is actually an interesting mention. Like, do you think that there are other cities in Georgia that are also like having some startups and likewise scene?
Yeah, after Tbilisi, the most active city I would say is Batumi, because of Batumi is bordering with Turkey, and it's on the Black Sea, on the seaside. So many people. There are, let's say, the people interested more living on the seaside, and so there are also a big. There are some part of the expats also that have moved. They moved to Batumi, and there are also the local organizations there, like ours, that are doing different activities, like also for the Web3. They have some community there. Meeting up there, and I mean the specific of these two cities are like different, because the Batumi is smaller one, but maybe more comfortable for the depending on depending what are your goals. Of course, Tbilisi is better for the networking and for meeting up with the people and building some products. But if you are all site and you just need to work from, let's say, distance, maybe it's not a bad option to go to Batumi. Also, we have in the middle between Tbilisi and Batumi, Kutaisi. But this is more for the, let's say, I would say more for industrial startups that are testing something, because there we have 2 free industrial zones. So this, like for this type of startups, it can be interesting more.
Interesting, yeah. That's. I also noticed there are some things happening in Batumi, and it was surprising to me because, like, if you haven't been to Georgia yet, so Tbilisi is more on the eastern side, and then you can take a train, and in 6 hours you'll be at a seaside in Batumi, which looks totally different. So that's really exciting because Georgia is very various. All right. Well, thank you so much for this. I don't think that I have any other questions. You get me even more optimistic, and I hope that this will help some other people who are interested in the startup scene in Georgia. If you have any questions, please leave a comment down, or you can text to Michael on LinkedIn. I will link his LinkedIn in the description, or you can text to me as well. Thank you so much for watching, and see you at the next episode.
Thank you.